slide here. May I respectfully here greet the Vice Chancellor. I'm here at the capacity of one of his students, postgraduate student from University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And I say to the Veritas family that my history as an academician will not be complete without mentioning Veritas University. I'm just on loan. I'm one of their own. I know Professor Kwanashi, I don't know if he's still here, but he was one of the persons who really believed in young chaps like us. He gave us every opportunity. He encouraged us and he mentored us. Today, we are in Federal University of Lafayette as ambassadors of Veritas University. We thank you very much. And my elder brother here with the MC, in fact, we are from the same constituency. When I go back home, I will tell the governor, who is the only reverend father, that is the governor in Nigeria, that we are being human. All right, my task here is very simple. Distinguished friends, most respectful, I want to say, well done to a living ancestor. I call her a living ancestor because he is a teacher to my teachers. Well done. I have titled my presentation, Theory of Theories, a philosophical review of Neo Pan-Africanism, a meta-theory of African change and development. As a way of introduction, I count it as a great privilege here to review a section of a work that I consider a groundbreaking research in development studies within the African continent. Africa has remained in the derogatory club of the third world despite being endowed with human, material, and natural resources in abundance. Africa, as a continent, has not been able to achieve sustainable development and relies heavily on foreign aid during crisis, like we just saw in 2020 during the COVID-19. Africa has not been able to achieve sustainable development. The African condition, as a renowned scholar, Ali Mazuri intimated, is that things are not working in Africa. From Dakar to Dar es Salaam, from Marrakesh to Maputo, and I add, from Abidjan to Abuja, institutions are decaying and structures are rusting away. This call for a concern and to trigger all scholars, as we have it today, of development, who have come together to drive in a development project for the African continent. My responsibility in this event is to review the philosophical components of the works in chapter 5, 12, 13, and 14, and perhaps pass a value judgment on it, while recommending it to those who I think will find it useful. In what follows, I shall proceed with the review, after which I shall make 3 points about the connection between philosophy and other components of the book as well, validate the work from a philosophical standpoint. The points are, first, the meta-theory as a philosophic expression, philosophy as the normative operative impetus of the meta-theory, and the need for a meta-theory, despite the disbelief of meta-narrative. Now I shall provide critical comments and conclude with the review. Now the review proper In the 5th chapter of the book, under review titled Philosophical Review of African Development, it opposed the assertion that development encompasses every aspect of life. It discusses the helplessness of African leaders in facing development challenges, and it examines various attempts at African development as we have it in the Lagos Plan of Action, which is LPA, and the subsequent initiative, the decoloniality and the transcoloniality. The chapter also here explores Afro-Feminism within the context of development. The chapter sets tune for concepts like Ujamaa, Ubuntu, Umunna, Negritude, and conscientism within the context of development. The chapter sets the tone for the discourse on the Neo Pan-Africanism, which the book seeks to advance as a development strategy as a model in Africa. In the chapter 12 of this work, the Neo Pan-Africanism, a meta-theory of African development and change, traces the historical origin and the epistemological construct of Neo Pan-Africanism. The chapter evaluates Pan-Africanism current status, identifying obstacles such as skepticism of African political elites, the imposed multi-state system by colonial powers, and efforts to thwart anti-colonial struggles and unifications of the continent. Moving beyond Pan-Africanism, the authors here present Neo Pan-Africanism as a meta-theory that should drive economic modernization and integration of African transformation. Now, in rebasing African development on African culture through values, which is the 13th chapter, the author emphasizes the importance of written development plans in African culture and values, acknowledging the disruption caused by transatlantic slave trade and colonialism. In Afro-Feminism, gender complementarity in African development, which is the chapter 14 of that book, the author argued that women have been disadvantaged and they have been discriminated following their biological vulnerability, their historical trends, cultural practices, and the influence of religions, social norms, amongst others. Notwithstanding, they mention some influence women, political women, in the light of Queen Jinga of Angola, Tarabeto of Ethiopia, and Queen Amina of Zaza. Now you have another section in this paper, which is the meta-theory has a philosophic expression. Now the term meta-theory as is used in this project is a philosophic expression. Otomi describes the effort as a theory of theories, aiming to develop overarching framework for various theories. That it's good for Africa to situate a theory that will make Africa better. This aligns with philosophy as role as the second discipline, considering reality as a whole. Now the text here creates a space for philosophy in African development discourse. By this, demonstrating how post-coloniality, decoloniality, and transcoloniality has affected development. Philosophy here connects with other disciplines as a model of discipline. It strengthens the discipline and provides means for philosophical research. Now, by virtue of this standpoint, the meta-theory here can serve as a means of teaching, as a model, and a theory which Africa can adopt as a functional system that can put Africa with other continents. Now, as a normative operating term for the Neo Pan-Africanism, in the foreword of this book written by Pat Otomi, Otomi raises a legitimate fear about the theory of theories regarding development. After celebrating most of the authors of this work, Otomi said something. He queries the project and he asks, is this just a good exercise? or is organizing knowledge for the sake of it.